Hey guys, Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Oh, there's a lot to talk about today. An impromptu news video, news and opinion video for you guys today. Boy, I don't even know where to freaking start, but I'm not going to give you guys a long preamble. All I will say is the back half of today's video will include my thoughts and all the information regarding the artifact rebalancing. I have some strong opinions there, as well as tomorrow we should expect the next code chase for Call of the Arbiter. I will have that out as soon as it is released, essentially, like 10 minutes after the episode ends. So make sure you subscribe, turn your bell notifications if you're into that kind of thing, aka free stuff in Raid Shadow Legends, right? Who's not? Anyway, guys, big concerns. And you know what? Listen, let's just be real. Let's call it how it is, right? Sometimes in the community, and sometimes perpetuated by the talking heads on YouTube, we tend to get like super concerned or upset, and the sky is falling. It's the Chicken Little sky is falling all the time in Raid. And, partially rightfully so, right? Because the developer has a tendency to make some very interesting historic decisions inside the game, right? However, this time really has thousands of players extremely concerned. I say that because there's thousands of upvotes on comments and Reddit posts already after this news dropped here recently, right? So we had somewhat of an inadvertent leak, or at least this information came out before Plarium officially announced it, but they put it out there in terms of the App Store, right? We have all of the contents on the new update already unveiled here. So let's go through it and let's talk about the massive concern here. Number one, we're actually just going to start with it. Soul Chase Tournament. Get as many souls as you can to earn points and get your hands on some great rewards. Well, yeehaw! Soulstone Rush. Earn event points by summoning souls from soulstones. All right, I'm going to read the rest really quickly, but we're going to go right back up to those two in just a moment here. Turn attack tournaments. Clear dungeons in as few turns as possible. Earn more points by tackling higher stages. Sounds like an endgame whale tournament, right, that they're adding, which kind of sucks because any tournament that they're adding is essentially a tournament they're taking away from other players. But level 6 blessings now grant additional stat bonuses. Again, update for the whales. Not that many people are sitting on a bunch of level 6 blessings out there inside the game because they're so freaking hard to pull, which brings me back to point number two in just a moment. A new champion has joined Plarium. That's the new Fragment Zone. We've already talked about her quite a bit at length. I've also shared a screenshot of her abilities in my community tab. New champion lore has been added. Okay, cool. Artifact set rebalances, which we're going to, again, talk about at the end of this video. But let me bring your attention back up to the first two, guys. This is very concerning. Soul Chase Tournament and Soulstone Rush. Well, you guys know that we always complain about this, right? I mean, I've complained about it ad nauseum here on the channel, right? Is that it's never struck me as, and it's no surprise given the developer of this game, right? I'm not saying I'm surprised by this. I'm just saying that I feel strongly about it, right? And that is that the Eternal Soulstones, 80% chance of an epic at an Eternal Soulstone, which costs what? Like, I don't know, $40 or something like that? A lot of money? And we get an 80% chance of a legendary, 80% chance of a 5-star. Let me move out of the way. You guys can see, right? It's terrible odds. It's terrible odds, man. The cost, the ROI, the cost versus the reward on Soulstones sucks. Furthermore, you probably don't even have the damn champion that you're pulling. If you do get lucky with a legendary 6-star out of a $40 one-time shard or soulstone or whatever the heck it's called, that's it. You have to actually have the frickin' champion, right? It is bonkers how overpriced, and I have noticed, to their very mild credit, that the prices have come down, a little bit, especially over the last month. Have you guys noticed that as well? Certainly not down enough. Frankly, I think the cost, sure, that could continue to come down, but I think these odds, man, that's where it's really messed up, especially considering you can pull champions that you don't have. Again, the wish list is only a 2-time wish list. 2-time? 10 times a scam, then what is 2-time? Anyway, so you guys know how I feel about Soulstone summons, right? It's the biggest whale feature in the game, and frankly, it's an update that, although in concept, incredibly cool, right? I love the awakening, I love the abilities, I love how it synergizes with teams and strategies and all that stuff. I actually like that part of it, but I think that it was clearly like probably the biggest cash grab update ever in Raid Shadow Legends history. Am I forgetting another one? Maybe, right? Probably. But I really have an issue with what the chances are, the odds of everything here. Anyway, now this is going to be a tournament in-game, okay? So now we're going to have a brand new tournament called Soulstone Rush. So, like, listen, is that the end of the world? No, it's not the end of the world to have a Soulstone Rush, to have any of these new tournaments, etc., added to the game. The big issue here is we just had Sir Henry, right? And we're going to have a follow-up video with him answering all of your questions, because a lot of follow-up questions from the free-to-play god that I had on the channel. He has like 12 million power. He has a bunch of legendary champions. But if you notice, most of his legendary champions were free login reward champions and or fragment summons and fusions. And that is my big concern here, guys. And I feel like I am not alone, right? So a Scratch video, a Cold Brew video, a Hades video, I feel like every content creator has covered this, but I feel like from what I've watched so far, I think they've done a beautiful job. I love them. They're all better than me, right? However, with that said, I feel like this has not been stressed enough. Am I overreacting? Am I? But I feel like it's DEFCON 1 right now, in terms of this could be very bad. And I think that Zorander here on Hades' video this morning, he said it best. The day they add Soulstone tournaments and soul events to fusions and fragment summons is the day I quit Raid permanently. Oof. Just while we're here too, and I saw it, we need to increase the rewards of Iron Twins. That's another way to help, right? To help in that regard. Let us get actually soulstones, please. Soulstones. How about we can actually get them? How about add a way for us to get them, maybe, other than, farming Iron Twins all week to maybe get one soulstone, to maybe get one-star rare champion, so really upping those rewards in a massive way in Iron Twins is going to help here. But still, very concerned. And I see, again, I'm not going to sit here and show you a billion of these comments, but I've seen them everywhere. Exactly my thoughts. Same. Yes, sir. Me too. Agree. I see it all over Reddit right now. I see even Scratch's video again. He has, the number one comment, Jimmy White, as long as they don't make soulstones part of fusions, dude, I mean, am I overreacting here? Or like Randall says the same thing. It will be a bad thing if they made a part of fusions and fragments. Am I overreacting? Same thing with this next guy, Steven. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody. Am I crazy? But I don't want to be, I hate to be pessimistic, glass half empty here, guys. But I think it's like almost a certainty that they're going to do it. Because I would be a real sucker if I thought that Plarium was going to be like, no, we're going to be nice and be easy on the player base. We're never going to attach these brand new features that we're writing about in our update copy. We're never going to use those on the best way to get great champions for non-massive spenders in the game. We wouldn't do that. Yes, they would. To me, that's like a sure thing, Hopefully, I am absolutely wrong on this one. But I don't know, man. If we ever wanted to make a little bit of noise regarding a perilous decision by Plarium, I think this might be it. And I just want to paint this picture. Imagine going for a fragment summon, and the only way to get 100 fragments is to open a crap ton of soulstones. They really need to buff the hell out of Iron Twins, or not associate these with other things in the game, right? This is very, very concerning to me. Personally, doesn't make that big of an impact on my main account, at least. But I can tell you one thing. I probably opened freaking 5 soulstones. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not many more on my mini account, right? They're hard to come by. I really am scared of this idea. I'm belaboring the point. That's how I feel about it. How do you guys feel? Let's talk about these artifact reworks really quickly here, guys. Said I had strong opinions. I do, right? So we have retaliation. They're changing it from a 4 set to 35% chance to a 2 set to 15% chance, okay, to counterattack. This is a big buff, obviously. 30% on a 4-piece is not 35, so in that regard, on a 4-piece set, it's a nerf. But think about this, the fact that they're changing retaliation from a 4 a piece to a 2-piece, think about how valuable that counterattack is going to be as an add-on set. Relentless plus Retaliation. I think Retaliation is going to be just absolutely skyvault to one of the more useful two-piece sets inside the entire game right now. 15% chance to counterattack is great. Okay, you want to load up just for the fun of it on certain areas, 3 sets, and bump it to a 45% chance to counterattack every time you're hit. I think Retaliation's tremendous, but first and foremost, I love that it's a 2-piece set. Avenging, 45% chance to counterattack. It used to be with a critical hit. Now it's when a debuff is placed on the champion. I really like that change as well, right? Critical hits, I mean, it's a 15% crit rate on most bosses inside Raid Shadow Legends. In PvE, it's pretty much useless, Avenging. In the arena, you can have some fun with it, maybe on like a Phenax, who has the block revival on his A1, but it's still super niche. Now you can essentially build a team around an anti-debuff team. Or, more importantly, it's going to have a lot better use case in PvE content against bosses. Almost everyone is throwing debuffs at your team all the time. So that's great. Cursed, it used to be 75% chance to place a heal reduction. Now it's 50% chance to place a Hex debuff for 2 turns. Talk about making the worst set in the game at least viable now, right? At least viable. I don't think it's going to make Cursed a super meta kit because I think the Hex debuff, frankly, is... At this point in the game, I feel like most players who've been playing for a certain amount of time, they have a number of Hex champions and options. But if you don't, hey, look no further than a Curse set, right? And maybe you want 2 Hex options on your team. So I think it's a great buff to a set. I don't think it's going to be super OP though. Frenzy, plus 5% turn meter for each debuff received. Similar to Avenging, I feel the same way. I like this change to a Frenzy set. However, I will say, though, that unlike everything else here, 5% turn meter for each debuff received, I'm not sure where I'm going to be using this set, Frenzy, now. I think out of all of the changes, even though I feel like maybe some of the niche scenarios like Nogdar the Headhunter, for example, it used to be for damage taken, not for each debuff received. I feel like I don't like this change. Let me just put it out there. You might like it, you may not. Let me know how you feel in the comments below. I don't want to belabor the point. I just don't think it's useful enough to rock a 4-piece set. And I think the old Frenzy had some very niche but very fun use cases as is. I think there's other ways they could have buffed this set to still keep it tied on HP lost. Curing now restores the amount of destroyed HP as well. It's not a insane buff, but you're essentially adding the miracle heal blessing, I think at like 4 or 5 star worth to a curing set. I actually think the curing set is fun in niche scenarios, such as champions with a heal on their passive, champions like Rector Draft, for example, champions like Vogoth, right? When you're triggering those heals from the passive, it just gives them a little bit extra now, especially useful against Hydra and Sand Devil, just restoring that destroyed HP, especially off of passive heals. So I like that change as well. Fury, 4 set damage increases depends on the champion's current HP. They've now added a bunch of thresholds and essentially bumped the max amount of extra damage double to 50% from 25% extra damage on Fury. It's going to be an interesting one. To me, I'm TBD on this one. It's definitely a buff. Is it big enough to make one of the worst sets out there usable when there's a lot of great artifact sets always being added to the game, from Forge Pass to Doom Tower to everything else? I'm a little skeptical, but hopefully maybe I'm wrong. We will see. I will say one thing on Fury. Champions like Leo, for example, in a Fury set, right? Skull Crown, champions with unkillable built into their kit. That's going to be very interesting to see. They're going to deal 50% extra damage if they're at HP, 50% HP or lower. That's pretty crazy. So I think perhaps that could be the use case. And if that is the use case, if it ends up being a better set on those champions than Lethal or Savage, then it's worth the buff to the set, right? Affinity Breaker has changed from crit damage. I think it was a 20% chance to change a weak hit into a critical. It's now a 50% chance, so a much needed buff to the Affinity Breaker as well, guys. Those are all of my opinions. That's all of the update news. Oh boy, am I concerned. How do you feel from the artifacts to the soulstones? Am I crazy? Am I being Chicken Little right now? Am I pandering to the public concern about this news, this update news? Or do I have legitimate reason to be concerned? I obviously am biased and think the latter. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching till the end of the video. And as always, take care, guys.